All right. Well, today is Storytime Sunday with Dr. Lauren. I'm Dr. Lauren, the Animal Ranch Care, and today is going to be a great story time. I put a lot of thought into this one. I wanted to have everything perfect, and that's the way my old mind would think, like make it all perfect, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Hello, hello. Hi to hello. Hi to hello. So, and I was thinking a lot about when I was going to go live today. The other two times, I was trying to figure things out and understand I what I want this to be for, like what I want this to be about. And I really thought deep on this one, but it was inspired a lot by a horse that I met yesterday. And in today's story time, you're going to hear about a horse named Buckshot. And Buckshot really opened my eyes to a lot of things that I didn't even know that I wanted to really talk about until I had that meeting with Buckshot. And Buckshot is a lady's horse that she was given. And I'm going to talk about him in great detail. But as I come to you today with my hat and my thermal and my makeup, that's part of my lesson that I'm gonna teach you from this horse that I met, this gelding. Now, you guys all know that I want a gelding really bad. Like, I know my heart horse is a gelding. I know he's 15 too. I know he's a buckskin, and I've had dreams about him. I know that that's what I'm meant to have. Can't have it right now until we get the land, which is coming soon. So before I get started with story time, let me start by saying I have a backdrop today. It's not official. It's not perfect, but it is perfect. It's perfect for me. My mom painted this. My mom is a beautiful artist. And so for today's story time, this canvas of a painting my mom painted in the 1980s is me on my horse, Susie Q. Frost, when I was about 2-3 years old. And recently I moved this painting from the office to the house. My mom added in some John Wayne, some Texas, some windmills, some, which way am I pointing? Some prairie dogs, some Tabasco sauce, some boots. But when I was a little girl, I used to look at this painting all the time and say, one day, when I look at it as an adult, I still say one day to have that horse in Texas with those boots. I got the boots to have that land. So thank you all for coming on in. Bonjour, comment ça va? Ça va bien? Très bien. C'est bon. Anyway, welcome Canadians. Welcome people from around the world. So today's story time, I have me a hot cocoa. And I have my mom watching, and I've given her permission to comment. So, all right. So let's dive into story time, and story time is going to turn into our topic of the day. So yesterday I had an appointment about a horse. And this is not a new client to me, but she has had us out before, but this is a new horse. I step out of the truck and she's walking the gelding towards me. And immediately I start to feel words, just feeling of words of what he's saying. Now he's standing 15-2. He's a beautiful bay and he's very gentle and he's got his head down in submission. And she says, I so wish I knew his story. And I wish I knew his story. I wish I knew what he had been through prior to coming here. I said, well, how old is he? And in my head, I heard 16 and she said 17. And I said, okay, 17 years old. Do you know anything about what he did? Where'd you get him from? She said, well, a guy had him in a field and he was turned to pasture where he didn't do any work for 2 years. And I started to look over his body and see what was going on in his body. And I do this quite oftenly where y'all ask me, well, what do you do? Thank you. What do y'all do? What do you do to analyze the horse? Well, at this moment, I was just looking at anatomy. So I started to look down his body and I noticed that there was these two enlarged calcified areas in his back feet. I noticed that his front feet had multiple lines going down the hoof. So in my mind, I'm thinking, those are stress lines. He's had stress. Okay, well, what has he been through? What has he done? And she said, well, he's been here for about 5 weeks. He's had his feet trimmed, but he can't stand for the farrier. I said, okay. His hind feet have these knots that I was telling y'all about. It's supposed to be more smooth in the back ankle, and it was like knotted up. And I haven't leaned into really being able to hear or understand what the horses are saying. I haven't fully leaned into it, but I know that I always hear horses say something. And she said, I really wish I knew. And I knew there were some words that were coming to me in this moment. There were words of what this horse had done, had been through. And it kept going over and over and over in my head, like, you know it, just say it, just say it, just say it. I need you to say it, right? And I just said it. And this was the first time I really leaned in to just tell her, this is what I'm hearing. This is what he said. And he said, heel horse, heel horse. And heel horse means that he was at team roping. There's a head horse on the front and a heel horse on the back that anchors to pull the cow. Once they rope the back feet, they grab the heel of the calf and they pull back. So I kept hearing heel horse and he kept saying that to me. And I immediately I told her, I said, well, let's go get started. And I said, has he been adjusted before? She said, we have no idea. Okay. So in my mind, I'm thinking this is his first time. And this is his first time and Jessica's not with me. So usually I like Jessica to be there for the first time because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if horses are going to rear up or kick. Or Jessica and I work really good as a team because she calms them. She talks to them while I'm working on dangerous parts of the horse. The rear end, will I be kicked? Well, with that being said, I had to trust this horse. And I had to trust that this horse is going to be good. Now, I don't always know if this horse is going to be good. And I don't always know if I'm not going to be hurt. I do carry life insurance and I do carry health insurance and short-term disability and long-term disability and all those things. But it is quite nervous when you have somebody that is handling for a first-time horse and you're not, and you don't know them. So I don't have any fear of the horse. He has given me no reason to be afraid. But as I start to work on him, I realize that he's never, ever felt this kind of love before. He's never felt this kind of love before. And it makes me sad that he's 17 and he never knew. I started to do the sweeps over his body. If any of y'all have watched me, I sweep over his body with a curious passage of my hands to learn his body because he can't tell me, to find all the scarring and all the trauma and all the hardening of ligaments and the tight muscles. And I start over the eye, I go over the ear, I go down the neck, over the middle back, around the buttock, down the back leg, into the hoof. And as I did that, I noticed that he had a lot of muscle, And his muscle underneath, she said, well, he's not been worked for 2 years, but in 2 years, he's kept his muscle, which tells me one thing, that he is genetically predisposed to keep that muscle. But by feeling all the hardening of the ligaments and the tendons and the body that doesn't want to move, and as I start to work on him, I notice that his feet have calcified, his ligaments are hardened, his joints are not very mobile, especially in his fetlocks, which are like his ankles. And that told me that he had a lot of hard work in his life, a lot of hard work. And he needed that adjustment so bad. And I'm so thankful that she called me to go and adjust him before riding him. She said, I cannot knowingly ride him if he has not had chiropractic. Now I'm on Facebook and YouTube, guys, so you may see me bouncing back and forth. This is my first time on both. So thank you, my lovely hat, Catalina. So I, basically am thankful that she called and not got on his back. And she said to me, well, he needed you because I needed to know if he had any problems before getting on his back. And kudos to her, I mean, you can get a new horse and you can just get on their back and you can go. Now, we both, in other videos, I've talked about this, but one of our clients said a mare is loyal to one rider and a gelding will let anybody ride them. And a gelding will go through anything. A gelding will put up with anything. And a lot like a man, a husband who will take things, who will handle things, who will be a rock. Like my husband is my rock. He'll put up with things. He'll take it. He'll take things and protect me from them. But this gelding was so tight in so many places. Every time I moved a joint, it would go. Every time I tried to turn, it would go. The crepitus, it's like the sound of the joints, And I knew for sure that I was hearing he was a heel horse because his back ankles, his fetlocks were calcified like a sliding horse would do, because a heel horse has to slide and stop that calf, And I felt that tightening, those hardening of those ligaments. And I felt arthritis in the side of his neck here, where there were enlargements of the third and fourth vertebra. His pole on the back was hard and immobile. He didn't want to rotate right or left. He didn't want to go down at all. I mean, he had 5 degrees. You're supposed to have 45 degrees of down flexion, and he had 5. His pole was locked, maybe years, maybe 10 years. How long has he dealt with this trauma? This horse is a magnificent 15-2. He's bay. He's gentle. He doesn't know, nobody got him chiropractic, right? So I proceeded to adjust him, and the owner held him, and she did a great job. She told him, he kept trying to turn his head and follow me after his first adjustment. The first moment that his back stifled, he was melting. He loved it. He loved chiropractic. And he absolutely wanted every part of what was going on. He started turning his butt to me to say, give me more of that. And the owner had to keep saying, you don't have to turn your head to see her. Just leave your butt right here. It was hilarious. And he was just like, his eyes started to blink and go so low. And the owner looked at me and she said, I've never seen him this relaxed in 5 weeks. In 5 weeks, she was like, this is amazing how much he's relaxing. So every adjustment, I did the legs, I did the back. The most skeptical he was the low back. He was like, I was pushing and he's like, whoa, don't mount me. And I was like, dude, I'm not mounting you. I'm just adjusting you. And he just, went through the adjustment. He didn't have any ribs out of place. He didn't have anything in his middle back. I get to his front left leg and it went, as soon as I went to turn it in, his knee went, and I had to set it down and give him a minute. Jessica's always telling me, I'm thinking of Jessica as this is going on, but she's like, give him a minute. And I set the leg down and I waited, good 2 minutes. This video will come out soon and you guys will see this. And I set the leg down. He licked and chewed. I picked the leg back up. I adjusted again. His ankle was out of place, adjusted his pastern, which is like right above the joint, right above the hoof. And it popped, set him back down. Pick the leg back up, go to do the elbow. His elbow goes, releases that tension, set him back down. Give him another 2 minutes. Pick up the left leg again, pull it forward, shoulder went. So Jessica has a very calming presence. I agree, Vanessa. And Jessica normally would tell him, good boy, it's okay, it's okay. But Jessica wasn't there. So I stopped and I went to him and I said, it's okay. You can show emotion. There's nobody here. Nobody's telling you can't. You can let it go. That's a good boy. You can let it go. So I started to tell him that he could let it go when he started to yawn. But he couldn't yawn because his jaw was out of place, probably from a bridle. So he, his left shoulder adjusted, and she said, wow, that's why he couldn't stand for the farrier. That's why he couldn't stand for the farrier. I said, that's most likely why he couldn't stand for the farrier. Now, there's a reason behind my changing things, and I'll get to that in just a moment. Please stay tuned. I'm going to explain, and I'm going to do a lot more. I want to explain this to you. So she said, wow, well, I'm glad that you're here to check this so he can have the farrier back out on Monday. That's great. You know, he has an adjustment on Saturday. He has 2 days to decompress, and then here comes the farrier. So I go to the right leg, and the right leg is pretty good. Not much problems with the right leg, but he couldn't stand to get the right leg done because the left leg was out of place at the shoulder, the elbow, the knee, the fetlock, and the pastern. So when you'd asked him to pick his right leg up, his left leg would be unstable, causing this problem. So I proceeded to, after the right leg, I went to the neck and I checked the pole and boom, it's stuck. And I go to adjust, I go to feel that, and I told her, hold on, give him lead rope. And I pull down, and when I release him, he's shocked and he's like, what the heck just happened to my neck? I had to release that tension where the first bone jams against the skull bone. And as soon as that happens, he starts to yawn and he puts his head down and he turns into me. He turns into me as I released it, and he touched his nose against my face. And that's the picture for this thumbnail of this video. He put his face and he said, thank you. Thank you so much for that amazing adjustment. So I finished the rest of his neck. I check everything that's moving. He has a couple places out, but I heard in my head, it's too much. It's too much. And I can hear Jessica saying this, it's too much. He hasn't been adjusted in 17 years. One adjustment on the first time with his horse must go softly. Nothing must hurt him. Everything must be for him and be good for him. That trauma that he endured will unwind and melt and fold, and he will be amazing. He will do amazing things. He needs about 200 pounds more muscle. He's very ribby, so you can see his ribs, which means he's probably in horses, you measure their weight from 1 to 10. He was probably a 4.5, but perfect as a 5. Maybe even for him, muscular wise, like a, perfect 5. So he was a 4.5, and he needs to put on 200 pounds. But this is what I told her. He doesn't need to put on 200 pounds without being adjusted. Let's come back in a month once he's put on 100 pounds, and then we'll check his joints again, because we don't want to load him too fast, and load him too fast would end up hurting him if we put too much weight on the joints that weren't right to begin with. So let's go slow. I said, talk to your veterinarian. The veterinarian can help you with what food to gain weight. The veterinarian can tell you what food to give him 2-3 times a day. Maybe he needs, 4 pounds of food or so. She's going to talk to the veterinarian about how to gain the weight. She's going to have me do the adjustments. But this horse, when I finished adjusting him, and while I was adjusting him, by the way, got to tell you guys this, that was the rooster bomb. Did anybody see the rooster that came into the video? That rooster bomb is the video that I'm talking about that'll release later, but I could not wait to show y'all the rooster. That rooster, I did not know the rooster was on there. I went back to look at it so I could edit everything, and there's the rooster. So if you guys haven't seen the rooster, go to look at that short. Well, actually, I attached the short at the end of this. So if you wait until the end, it's going to have that rooster. You've got to see what the rooster did. But I didn't know the rooster was going to be on there. He was trying to say he wanted to be adjusted, maybe. Also, if you guys could hit the like and subscribe and the bell below, you guys will get alerted for my next Sunday story time. So with that being said, after I finished working on this amazing gelding, this gelding was so thankful, and the owner said to me, I called you out here. My husband wanted the vet, but I called you because I knew you would put hands on every part of his joint and you would tell me the verdict. Can he be ridden? Can he not be ridden? Does he have good joints or not? So with that being said, he actually can be ridden. He had no soreness. I did not feel any inflammation anywhere. And he can have the life that he deserves with her. And I told him, I said, I know that you feel better and you will be so safe with this lady. She has your best interests at heart. And if she doesn't, I will gladly take you. Joshing. But with that being said, I loved giving this gelding his first adjustment, and he has my heart. He did not do anything bad. Thank you so much. I was so protected. Jessica's not there. I don't feel quite 100% safe. But I immediately knew that he would not harm me. He would not harm me. He was so into the adjustment that I didn't feel any fear from him. He wasn't trying to be naughty. He wasn't doing anything mean. He was skeptical about the adjustment. He didn't know if he was going to like it. He didn't know. He didn't know what an adjustment was. I believe that he was raised by a rancher cowboy, and we don't get calls from them a lot when they do cow work and team roping and all that rough and tough rodeo. They don't, the barrel racers, yes, but the team ropers and cowboys, no, they don't call very often. We have had some. I'm not going to say that they don't. Maybe we've had five, but they don't do all of the things to help them feel good. So this horse, being a cow horse or a team roping horse and a heel horse, this adjustment changed his life. This adjustment, literally, he spun on a dime when we finished. He was so thankful and he could do so much. Now, I did say in the beginning that this gelding, 17 years old, never been adjusted, loved the adjustment so much. And he was willing, after hard work and whatever he endured, he was willing to accept this adjustment. Whether that's a physical adjustment or a life adjustment. Okay, let's talk about this. How does the gelding accepting a physical chiropractic adjustment relate to us accepting an adjustment in our own life? Change is the only constant. Change and things that we need to do. Now, I've been changing glasses and hats this entire time we were talking, right? I've been changing this entire time. And I'm making a point. I show up because I want to tell you the stories about the horses and how they teach us. And the lesson that I learned from this amazing gelding is that he endured trauma. His body had trauma. Maybe he was unsure about it, but he was willing to accept the change. He was willing to lean into it, to what humans had done to him, but he never held it against humans that were new. He never held it against humans then, and he didn't hold it against humans now. A lot of people say, God, there's just so much change in the world and so much going on. And, between the food and the politics and the crime and there's so many things, and I get a call from my mom, and mom, forgive me, she's 72 and she's 72 and said, in all of my life, and mom, you can say if this is true or not, In all of my life, I've never seen so much change as I've seen in the past years. With all the change going on and all of the things, there's only one thing with the adjustments that we need to make in our own life. There's the only thing that we can do is take care of ourselves. Take care of ourselves, because you can't control the external world. You can't control the politics. You can't control the weather. I couldn't control that Tim and I flooded 4 times and lost our home. I can't control all of the things that happen. The only thing we can control is what we do, our self-awareness, our self-control, and thanks, Mom, that is true. We have to think of things in a new way. Have we gone through trauma? Yes. But can that trauma hold us back from trying new things, from taking better care of ourselves, from doing things that we need to do? Like the lady says, Suzanne, you helped me to consider a chiropractic appointment to help me when I never would before. I checked with my doctor yesterday, and he encouraged me to try it as well. Thank you, Dr. Lauren. We've got to lean in, like Suzanne leaned in. We've got to have a willingness, Elisa, a willingness to let go of the trauma. We have to have a willingness to say, I need help, or I need counseling. I did 3 years of counseling for grief after Harvey. I did 3 years of counseling for the grief of Harvey that led me to know that I was a codependent, that lacked self-care, that lacked self-control, that lacked self-awareness, that was highly extreme decision-making. I would have never been sitting here in front of you. I would have never been sitting here. I know 100%. I would never be sitting here doing this. This is raw, this is real, and this is candid. So in that token of being raw and real and candid, the Lauren prior to being willing to accept the adjustment would sit here in front of you with a full face of makeup, with her glasses done, with her hair beautiful, with her shirt nice, with a perfect backdrop. The Lauren today is quite different, quite different. Jessica has witnessed this. My husband has witnessed this. The Lauren today would be sitting here in her Grinch PJs. The Lauren today would not care what you thought, would not care what someone says. You know how many hecklers that I've had? I don't care, because the greater good is that all we can control is ourself, and we can control how we feel about us and how we know we're beautiful and we deserve it and we're powerful, we're amazing, that we're made in the Lord's image beautifully. I'm wonderfully and beautifully made. So I showed up a better person to be able to help this gelding. If I have trauma, how could I help him? If I didn't let go, if I didn't accept the adjustment and the change to be able to care for myself, how could I help him? He's sitting there showing me that he can go through all this trauma with no adjustments, and just put up with it. Just put up with the pain. You think that he realized that he just had to live with pain? I mean, he had to live with that pain, but he didn't hold it against anybody. He didn't try to take it out on me or kick me or be nasty. He was a very good boy. The funny thing is, he showed me that you don't have to, you can just move on. You can be good. You don't have to put on makeup. You don't have to do anything you want to do. And I know that most of you are so, have learned this. And, I know that you probably learned this at some point, but maybe some of you haven't. So for the ones that have gone through this already, and for the ones that have already learned this, that your self-awareness of yourself and your needs and your self-care and all that is important. But this horse showed me that we can accept the adjustments and the change. We can change and become better. If something's wrong with our family, if something's wrong with ourselves, in all of things, we ask, how am I handling it? How am I doing something better than I did yesterday? How am I doing something now that is blocking me from my full potential. When I was growing up, there was a lot of ridicule by my peers. I was bullied. I'm taking off my lipstick. And I was told that I should never show my arms because they're quite chunky, like a Tootsie Roll. I got bullied in school when I wore cowgirl boots and slipped in the wet floors of the junior high and said, "Ha ha ha, you fell in your shit kickers." I never wore another pair of boots after that time. I never wore a sleeveless shirt after that time. And this was prior, obviously, than what I am now. But the woman that I am now is so much different and so much better at doing what I want to do that the person that I am now would show up like this. And I don't care. And there's a lot of people that would make me feel bad if I showed up like this with tattoos and my hair up and it cut. And the thing is that gelding yesterday really hit my heart, because you don't have to do that. All you have to do in the world of change and craziness is be you. What do you like to eat? What do you like to drink? You know? What do you like to do with your spare time? Do you need to get adjusted? Is your back bothering you? Is your neck hurting? Are you living with headaches? Find the answer. Take care of you is the true answer. So, in that breath, I'm taking off Christmas and New Year's. I'm doing all of my self-care. I'm getting massages. I'm doing my hormone therapy, or not hormone therapy, but things for my hormones. If this horse can be willing to accept an adjustment after 17 years of trauma, then the trauma that he endured did not hold him back from trusting me and allowing me to give him that adjustment. Horses are so accepting of us. Horses are so accepting to just get in a tiny box and let us pull them behind the truck in a trailer. Horses are so trusting to be able to allow a chiropractic adjustment, or, do a new thing, or let us ride them and put a saddle on them. And, horses are great teachers. Horses are absolutely great teachers. And I've learned more working on horses in the past 6 years than I have all of my life. Human patience, adjusting patience has taught me a lot, but to actually be my true self. And I think it hit me really hard the day that Lester and I did that live together, when he said, "What do I call you?" He said that you go by Dr. Baker at your human practice, but you go by Dr. Lauren with your animal practice. And I'm here to say that at the base of everything, doctors do struggle with identity because there's a doctor side and there's a personal side. But I've now learned that Lauren, just Lauren, is what controls Dr. Lauren and Dr. Baker. So Lauren does what Lauren wants to, wear a hat, show the tattoos, change glasses, don't wear makeup. I just put this on so that y'all could see. And I used to never leave the house without makeup on. I actually would mow the yard as a 12-year-old with makeup on. Somehow, sometime when I was 12 years old, I told myself that I wasn't pretty. And now I know that I'm beautiful, and I'm wonderfully and beautifully made, and I'm extraordinary. My husband just told me. I told him. And he said, "What are you?" And I said, "I'm extraordinary. I'm extraordinary." So I don't need makeup to feel pretty. And I don't need, if the horse can do it without makeup, no, I'm just kidding. But horses teach us a lot. And, we just need to let go. We need to take better care of ourselves. We need to stop focusing so much on external things that we can't control. I think a lot of us, like me, I used to suffer with not breathing, like feel stuffy and just don't breathe like I should. But I think a lot of us need to self-reflect. What do we want? How do we feel? How can we take better care of ourselves? As soon as we put that gelding in the stall, the first thing he did was went to his bucket looking for grain. The second thing he did was go to his hay to see if it wasn't wet. The third thing he did was go to water. The fourth thing he did was to come back and tell her, give me food. Somebody today heckled me and they said, you have the biggest front teeth like a beaver that I've ever seen. And I said, no, my dear, they're not like a beaver. They're like Mr. Ed. So all of my life, I've been mocked because of strabismus. I'm still trying today at the age of 69 to accept myself as I am. It's inspiring to listen to you. Diane, who cares? I don't have any F bucks for that F budget. You don't have that to spend. We only get one life. We only have one life. And I want to tell you about this thing my husband told me. I'm going to ask him because I don't remember the exact way to say it. How do you say it, my love? Space, time. He says it's called space-time trauma. Space-time trauma, where you actually don't remember time because of the trauma that, because you're constantly being traumatized. You don't have awareness of space and time. Do you know that I blocked out my entire time riding my horse, Susie Q. Frost, as a kid? Where's she at? There. I blocked out a lot of it. I don't remember that I even put a bridle on her or a saddle on her, how I rode around at 10 years old and just carefree like nothing mattered. I just rode around. I would fall off of her and get back up and get back on. I wasn't aware, we lose time when we're in that trauma mind. So I think a lot of us need to let go, just, get past that. So, well, I'm inside today because it's raining outside today, and I'm having hot chocolate and all of my animals are asleep and it's raining really bad. And it's raining and it's cold. I think it's like 45 outside. So I improvised. So I came inside and I thought about what I wanted to talk to you guys about, and how I could tell y'all about how this gelding had really helped me. And sometimes I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but then it comes to me, like the things that we do with horses and cows and chickens and roosters. And so living as I am, Tim and I are looking forward to being able to have our own place and, have land. And I'm expecting to really have God give us this answer of like, where do we move and what do we do? And do we get 10 acres or do we get 25 acres? Well, let me ask you guys a question. And I'm going to ask you a question right now. So for me, that was my biggest thing was childhood trauma. And, and it's here nor there. I'm not going to talk about all that with my mom. My mom's on here and it doesn't matter because I've resolved my own childhood trauma on my own as an adult. But this is Fiona. This is Fifi. This is Fifi. Fifi, say hi. You see yourself in the picture? This is Fiona. We call her Fifi. That's Fifi. She's 3.5 months old. And she is a tuxedo cat. And she is gorgeous. And she does not like me as much as she loves my husband. So this is my husband's cat. She sleeps on his lap. See. Okay. She does not love me like she loves him. Look for land near Lester and Jamie, where you want to live. We did find something over there. Maybe. We found a place. We found quite a few acres. Oh, Fifi does have little white mittens. They're so cute. 3 large dogs. Oh, man. Rescue cats are awesome. Bonjour, Canada. So I was going to say that I've done a lot of healing and a lot of things over the years, and I have a really great relationship with my mother. Not as much with my father, but my mother and I have a really great relationship. She is a cool person, and she, she's really, really come a long way with me, and I've come a long way with her. And, we're so much alike. I think when you're so much alike, like your parent, makes it quite hard. And I see the answer is 70% of you have dealt with that trauma. And it's important to try to get through that and be willing to have that adjustment on your life. So I think loss, grief, trauma, still traumatic, like that horse, where he had those stress lines on his foot, on his hoof. He had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He had like 6 stress lines on his hooves. And how many of us have traumatic scars, on our heart, on our body? He had a lot. Christine. Thank you so much, Christine. You're beautiful. You're lovely. You're wonderfully made, and you deserve to feel good emotionally, physically, and mentally. Your body holds the trauma, just like the gelding that I told you about. His body held the trauma. It didn't hold it where he didn't trust, but his body stores the emotion. You might have had a trauma, somebody physically, spiritually, emotionally had a trauma. I had a patient one time that she had a pain in the back of her right leg. And I did everything I knew possible, 24 adjustments like I normally do, and nothing would solve it. And one day I got a letter in the mail, and she said, Dr. Baker, you helped me so much, because that pain in my leg, I talked to my sister and my mom, and they said that my dad, my abusive father, had kicked me in the back of my leg and knocked me down when I was a child. And I stored all that emotion from my father in my leg. I hadn't resolved it. And she went to counseling, and all the pain went away in her leg. And, a lot of times we store that, for sure. Well, what did she say? Yeah. So in this spirit of change and adjustment, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to feel better physically, emotionally, mentally? How can we learn that from horses? Like, if a horse can have all of that and a horse can let it go and not hold grudges against us, you think that Roman is holding grudges against them? He's not holding grudges. You know what Roman's running around doing? Where am I? Am I safe? And I don't know any of these lessons you're trying to teach me, because nobody ever taught me these lessons. During that adjustment with that gelding, I went to touch his chest to feel his sternum, and he backed up, quickly, backed up. That's something he's learned. She touched him on the side of his hip, and he quickly swung his butt around. That's something that he's learned. And, horses are always my mentor. And one of my teachers in Colorado said, he's a brilliant neuroscientist guy who studies horse brains. He said, After all of his studies, he finally knows that a horse only asks himself one question: am I safe? Am I safe? If he's only asking himself if he's safe, he uses, and through their evidence and through their research, a horse uses an external mediator to know that they're safe, which means a horse uses another animal to know they're safe. So if that horse doesn't have an animal near it, it's relying on you. If the horse has an animal, they'll always look to them. One of my clients had 3 horses, and one of them died, and she had 2 left, and the one of them was connected to the one that passed away. They had to go get another one because she didn't connect with the middle one in the middle stall. She went and got another one, and they bonded and they connected. But that horses are always trying to figure out if they're safe. I thought about that one day. If horses are always asking themselves that, aren't we asking ourselves that? Am I safe? So that's a big lesson too. Am I safe? Am I safe in the home I'm in? Am I safe with the person I'm with? Am I safe at the grocery store? Am I safe in the surroundings of all the things going on in the world? I don't think I go near as many places. I don't think I go as near as many places in Houston without my husband with me. I would not. We just went to dinner last night. I made a video too. I think that, and I have to say this, I'm looking at some of y'all's comments, and I have to say this. I am not a therapist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a trained psychologist. If you feel that you have had those issues, I would, what I did was go to a counselor or a therapist about them. I don't want this to be like, that's what I'm doing. I'm just telling my story about how my trauma was like the horse. My trauma, I realized my own trauma by working with horses and trying to come through that. So, and in no means am I trying to say that I am helping you with your mental health. I'm not a therapist, and I'll make sure that I put that in the comments as well. Or if one of you can put that, Vanessa, but I'm just doing this to talk about what I notice with horses and my own healing. And if you see yourself in that, then that's great. Animals are so healing no matter what type of animal you gravitate to. Yeah, that's true. Dogs, they did a study on cats and dogs that a dog is for physical healing and a cat is for emotional healing. I think that's quite interesting. Dogs, physical healing. Maybe the dog pulls you to have to go walk and pulls you to go here and there. Maybe that's why, I don't know. But cats are for emotional healing, and I think that I migrate to them. Babe, can you bring me Chitara? So my little kitty, Chitara, that we call Chichi. Oh, this is my kitty. My kitty is 4 months old. Her name's Chitara. And we've discovered that Chitara has gone into heat early, 4 months old. So she's quite feisty and talkative. She goes, but she's pretty. She has pretty markings. Look at you. Look at you on YouTube and Facebook. You're a pretty girl. Mwah. Mwah. You're my pretty girl. You're my pretty girl. All right. Well, does anybody have, thank you, Teresa, for posting that. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you, Vanessa. Appreciate you, ladies. Does anybody have any questions about what I said so far? Silver tabby? I didn't know that. Dana, I didn't know Chitara was a silver tabby. That's what she said she is, silver tabby. I thought she had Bengal in her, so much markings as she has on her. She won't sit still. Dexter, can you come? Come. Come, boy. Come, boy. Up, boy. Watch it, watch it, watch it. This is my boy. Well, our boy. Our boy. He's a big old boy. He gets adjusted regularly. Okay, back up. All right, down, off. Good boy. Oh, of course. It will be posted as a video. So I feel quite excited to be able to share all this with you guys. I look forward to every Sunday when I come on here and tell story time is one of my favorite times of the week. I've really started to love it. Last Sunday, I did a video with Bodie, my horse, out in the pasture. And the Sunday before that, I was in the backyard for my first live. So this is only my third live ever for story time with Dr. Lauren. And I really love them. And I get to, talk about some of the things that happened during the week and, like the rooster and other horses. Come on, kitty. And I really love to be able to tell you guys there's way more than the adjustment that you see when you see the adjustment side of things. I feel like, well, let me tell you this. Most of you probably saw Cowboy Bob Bova video. If you haven't, that's my last video that just came out. Cowboy Bob Bova is a horse trainer down in Alvin, Texas. And, I did the video and then fast forwarded through the adjustment. And for sake of time, because it was like a long adjustment on each horse. And then someone said, I really miss seeing the adjustments and I want to see more of that. So the next video coming out will be a slowed down, but it's an hour and 20 minutes for like 2 adjustments. So I can't show all of the adjustments, but I love that story time can be about Dexter is playing with a cardboard box. Sorry. It was behind the fridge and I gave it to him and then he started ripping the cardboard up. So I love that I get to recant, the things that are happening in the videos. So you guys know that the adjustments that I'm doing, there's so much more to them than just popping a bone or popping a joint or, So recanting all that Cowboy Bob Bova video, if you guys go take a look at it, Sundance in Dakota, his 2 horses got adjusted and he sent me a video 2 days after the adjustment and said, my Dakota 23-year-old mare is running around the pasture and she hasn't been able to do that before, do that in a while. So not before, but in a while. And he said chiropractic has made her so much better. So I know chiropractic is about freedom. Chiropractic, I'll say that again, is about freedom. And when your body can move and you can raise your arms and you can move your body and you have freedom of your body and your joints, it's priceless. And I think freedom for horses getting adjusted is like us having freedom from trauma. Me having freedom from my trauma where it doesn't hold me back. I have healthy boundaries. I'll tell you if something's bothering me. I won't just do things for the sake of people pleasing anybody anymore. God, I should say that again. I don't people please anybody anymore. I do things for the betterment of the patient. And sometimes I have to be candid and say things like, you're not drinking enough water. You're not taking care of yourself. You're not eating the right foods. You're living on fast food. I can tell you're dehydrated. Most important thing that we can do for our bodies and what we need to do is to take in good stuff. Like our cells are made of what we take in. So with that gelding horse, I told her he needs salt. She hadn't offered him any salt and we are salt of the earth. So she said, okay, well, I'll make sure he has some salt. And so little things, little changes, one day at a time, adding salt, doing something we're uncomfortable doing. Find you a chiropractor, find you a therapist. I think that when I was younger, if I hadn't let people get in my way, if I hadn't let people tell me that I was too fat or tell me that my arms were too chubby or tell me that I shouldn't wear boots or tell me that I was talked funny or my teeth were funny or I don't know. The one person in my life that never did that to me was my husband. And he told me from the day he met me that I'm a beautiful soul. And I'm thankful for having him as my husband. I added up how many adjustments my hands have done on humans, but I've never done it on horses. I was just thinking that how the hands, the things we do with our hands. I've done 58,647 adjustments on humans. Some weird way I always count. I don't know. It's weird. Maybe it's because I'm like ADHD, or I don't put labels on things like that, but I count how many people I've adjusted, but I don't count how many horses or animals that I've adjusted. I'll read some of the things that y'all are saying here. Oh, I'm so glad you're here, Rochelle, to watch them. She said it's her first one. Hi to hello. Hi to hello, Wendy. Oh, thank you. I love that I started a YouTube channel. I'm thankful to Jamie for that. Jamie with From Suits to Boots. If you are from Facebook and you don't know her page, From Suits to Boots is the reason why I created my YouTube channel. And I have a YouTube channel. If you're on Facebook and you want to watch, it's Animal Ranch Care with Dr. Lauren. You can go over there and subscribe to that. I decided to do both platforms so that all of the people that I know and love on this side can see, and all the people on this side can see. So I created the YouTube channel about 5 months ago, and it is amazing. I have 152 videos all loaded. It is like a job. So I adjust people Monday through Thursday. I adjust animals Friday and Saturday. And then sometimes I adjust dogs Monday through Thursday in the nighttime. And then I have the YouTube, which I do on Sundays. A lot of times I film them Friday, Saturday, and then I edit them on Sundays, and here I am. So I'd love for you all to tune in and watch more. I will be doing Sunday, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Mrs. Clark, thank you for making that aware to me that I did not put Central Standard Time, and my friend online, Jen, almost missed the time because it's 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So please like, subscribe, and hit the little bell down at the bottom so you get notifications. Now, I am very, very excited that you guys are here, and I love being able to do this with you all and talk so much of this out. I have become quite engulfed in the Morrow family, if you couldn't tell. And I do work with the Morrows and other family members as well. I am not speaking about if there are humans getting adjusted. I'm not going to say more than what you see online. I am obliged to HIPAA, which is Health Insurance Privacy Protection Act, created by Hillary Clinton. And I cannot talk about a lot of the things, but if they say it, then okay, they can say it. But I have to be careful of that. And I just wanted to make that clear before I jump off of here. I've only got about 2 minutes left. So I just wanted y'all to know that at the end of this, you're going to see that clip of the rooster. And the rooster video will be coming out next week. So please like and subscribe to be able to get that notification. Any other housekeeping little things? I think that's it. Oh, this is my first time going live from the computer, and I will say I love it better. I love it better. The Facebook is great too, the platform here. Oh, Vanessa, wait till you see the rooster. You're going to love it. I did not adjust him, but I think he wanted an adjustment. I have adjusted a chicken. If you go to my YouTube, you'll see I've adjusted a chicken and a cat, and I adjusted Jamie's cat, and she posted that. HIPAA is highly important, and I do have to be careful because I am a health provider. So thank you for posting that. Well, my mom is on here, and I would like to tell my mom that I love you. I love how far we've come together, and I thank you so much publicly for the support you have given me. Thank you for driving across Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas to adjust lots of animals and horses. You're very special to me, and thank you for that support. Thank you, Mama. I love you. Well, you guys are going to see a lot more of me, and I have some news, and I'm about to drop it in my last 15 seconds. I think I found an associate for the office, so I'm going to go start doing more animals. What? So I'm not holding my breath. But first of the year, I've got a new doctor. So I get to do more animals, and you guys are going to see me all the time. All right. Well, that's all for tonight. Y'all remember, like and subscribe. Take a look at this. Take a look at this clip of the rooster.